Welcome to Finding the Fire. The fire inside is what drives us. Left unattended, it can burn out of control. In Finding the Fire, Cindy Jacobson speaks with guests, telling stories of trauma and triumph. In sharing our experiences, we find connection and understanding. Join her now as we burn through the walls of separation. Get ready for Finding the Fire, and let's find your spark.
We're live.
Hello.
We're live.
Hello. We are live here with Stephanie Parrish from Vibrant You in the podcast studio. I am so excited you are here.
I'm so excited to be here.
We had to come on a Friday. I don't usually do this on a Friday. I'm so out of kilter right now. I'm like,
I know.
And then somebody had to bring up the
vacation.
fact that tomorrow's February.
That would be me because I have a birthday coming up. So it's February birthday month. Sorry,
goodness.
I know.
I can't believe it's already February. It's been like a really long January, but also I can't believe it's already February into 2020.
I know.
What is going on right now?
It's been a crazy January, hasn't it?
It
But
has.
then it's over.
It's over. And the weather outside. Can we just touch on that for 1 second?
Oh my gosh.
What is
We
it,
were
like
just walking
16
and talking
degrees
about
and
how
sunny?
gorgeous it is out there, right?
Yes,
And that's why
yes.
we're here in
know.
St. George.
That's why
in
we
Southern
live here.
Utah.
If you don't live in St. George, I highly recommend it. And I have a good realtor for you.
No, a good realtor.
Really
Hello.
good realtor, so.
Check in here. She can find you an awesome spot.
Yes.
There's still a little bit of room here, so.
Yeah, a little. Just a little, because
Just
we're
a little.
growing quickly.
I know,
But
it's nuts down here.
it is.
It's
It's
nuts.
fun.
They need a few more roads though for all the traffic, don't they?
Yeah, they
it's
do.
getting crazy down here.
I think we're getting the roads. It's like bittersweet, because I've been here pretty much my whole life since I was 8. So I say I'm from here, which is a long time, 30 something years. And it was such a small blip on the I-15 when I first moved here and growing up, but I still love it. I still love it.
Oh,
It still has a small town feel. It still has the amazing closeness to all the fun stuff, to the outdoor activities, to the amazing weather.
Yeah.
Even with all the people discovering us and moving in, it's still a great place to live.
Well, don't you think the difference, and you as a realtor know this, you can go to any different spot in this area and it's like a completely different place.
Every view, every altitude is what?
Where did this subdivision come from?
Where am I right now? Yeah.
And they're all so beautiful in their own way,
Yes,
aren't they? It's
yes.
just I love to go driving around and exploring. So where did that come from?
Right. I have clients call me from out of town. They're like, I want a place with a view. Where's the best view? I'm like, well, it depends. What kind of view you looking for? A mountain view, a river view, a red rock view? We
We've
have
got it
all the views. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It's
awesome.
beautiful here. We don't have a view, but I really like my area. So
Yeah.
it's nice, and there just isn't a bad area in St. George or Washington County. It's
You're in good hands if you come here.
phenomenal. We love it. Absolutely. We love it here.
Yes, we do. So how long have you lived in St. George?
I've been here 4 years.
Okay.
And it's funny because 4 years, it has changed so much since I've been here.
Right.
And it's when I came here, I went through the blip. I'd never been to St. George.
What is St. George?
I'd gone to Vegas or LA or different places, usually at dance competitions or things like that, because I used to teach dance and had competing teams all over, but we never stopped in St. George.
Because what was there to stop for?
Exactly.
Gas. If you're
that was
lucky.
it.
It might
That
be
was
closed
it.
on Sundays.
Exactly. That's right. So you better go Saturday or Monday. You're not going through. It's so true. So for me to move here 4 years ago was completely not on my radar at all. But, the Lord had different plans and brought me here. And it's
Well, we're so glad because you also brought some amazing stuff with you.
Thank you.
Talk about your Vibrant Youth Center and all that you offer there.
Oh, thank you, Cindy. I love my Vibrant You Hyperbaric Oxygen and Light Center. And a lot of you listeners are probably familiar with just hearing that.
Yes.
And what we get to do is infuse the body with hyperbaric oxygen. And what that means is that it's dissolved oxygen from the pressure that gets into the liquid plasma. And that means it's getting into all the nooks and crannies. It's getting into the cerebral fluids and the spinal fluids. It's getting in the places that the red blood cells can't get to. I never in my wildest dreams thought red blood cells would be too big to get into certain places, but they are. And that's what we get to do. We dissolve that extra oxygen, those millions of extra oxygen molecules. And we use the Vibrant U difference is we use light therapy inside of our chambers. So if you're coming in with a concussion or traumatic brain injury or something with the brain, we'll put specific lights right on the brain, right where that injury was. And what that does is they're set on polychromatic lights. So they're actually going to vibrate and dilate the blood vessels that have been damaged. And when it dilates those blood vessels, and then you can saturate with the hyperbaric oxygen, with all this liquid oxygen. And because it's forced, that's why they're under pressure, right? That's what hyperbaric means, is more pressure. When that oxygen is forced into those tissues, they really kind of don't have a choice.
Right.
They have to do something good for the body. It's oxygen getting into those deep tissues and every little tiny piece of your body. And then what we do, we now are using the Avicen medical equipment, and it's microcirculation. So after you come out of the hyperbaric and you've got all this incredible oxygen floating through your body, now we can microcirculate that oxygen, and that's going to get into every tiny capillary in your body within 7 to 10 minutes, which means it's bringing that blood and oxygen 66% faster into your body. And we get to see just the neatest things happen
like
with
miraculous things.
Miraculous.
Yes.
And I know you and I have shared a lot of these stories, but, you know, we don't ever diagnose. We don't ever. People come in all the time and say, will it help Crohn's? Will it help? I had just one this morning asked me about cerebral palsy and fibromyalgia and diabetes and cancer and all these things, you know, and oxygen doesn't care what a diagnosis is.
Right.
It's so when you come into the clinic and you get into the chamber, it's not going to sit there and go, okay, let's see, we're going to work on a brain today, or we're going to work on a lung or a heart. That's not how it works.
No,
it's going to go in
board.
Everything from top to bottom in every single little nook and cranny in your body. And with it being National Heart Month starting tomorrow, we've been talking a lot about that, about what it actually does for the heart. And even if somebody has a pacemaker or something like that, the pressure's not enough there to do any damage to that. What it does do is start repairing those tissues.
Use the tissues,
right?
With the oxygen.
And that's what it does. So we are supportive of the body of repairing and regenerating. We're so grateful for the medical community out there. So a shout out to them. We need them.
Yes.
What we do is supplementary. So I get massage therapists and physical therapists and chiropractors and different people saying, we get a better rotation, better longevity. We're able to manipulate the body better once they've come to you. And I said, well, when you get bodies working the right way, it's
when
amazing
they get what they need,
happen.
their basic needs, oxygen being a number one.
You know, it's funny because the mentors that I work with have always said, well, you can go a few days without food. You can go a few days without water. You know, you don't necessarily need exercise, but how long can you go without oxygen? You'd be dead.
Exactly. That is the basic
And that's what
need,
happens to the tissues.
Exactly.
The tissues in the body, if they don't get oxygen, they start deteriorating. Mm-hmm. This is where we see so much of our degeneration happening in the bodies, because it's got to get oxygen to every one of those tissues.
Absolutely.
It's got to have it. So that's what we get to do, and we're so grateful. We're so grateful to be able to just give the tools the body needs, and then we get to sit back and let the body do its job.
And we're grateful that you're here to give us those tools, to give us what the body needs so the body can do its job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people that just come in and they say, you know, the doctors have given them a death date, or they've told them that nothing else can happen, or they've told them they got to live with their disabilities, or they've told them, you know, you need to have 10 surgeries and 15 medications or whatever, you know. It's like, just give me some time.
Just let the body do its thing. If you give it what it needs. And that's kind of how we met too, right?
Right.
We met at a business retreat, which was amazing.
Absolutely.
But we connected on that level because I was given one of those diagnoses.
Yes.
I was told, like, I would be disabled, I would be bedbound, you're going to require this medication for the rest of your life or you're going to die. I was giving a death sentence, a life death sentence, right? And I was 36 and I had 3 small kids, and I'm like, no.
That's not going to work for me. Sorry.
No. Like, the body is made to heal itself.
Exactly.
Like, it works in miraculous ways. And yes, Western medicine's amazing. I'm a nurse. Like, shout out to our medical community.
Absolutely.
But there's things the body does that we still don't even know.
Exactly.
And it is made to heal. It's made to function. It's made to operate. So if we can just provide those tools for it, than these ultimatums and these death sentences and these pills and things. And yes, we need them at times. We need surgeries. We need medications. We need to know what's going wrong so we can at least address it.
Exactly.
But it doesn't mean it's a death or a life-death sentence.
Exactly.
There's definitely tools out there. So thank you so much for coming and sharing that. And I really...
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Really appreciate that. And so beyond who you are and what you do, our podcast gets down to the real person. Who's behind the mask? Who's behind the story? And I know another thing you and I share in common, which is a very touchy subject, but it's very, what's the word?
Prevalent.
Prevalent. Thank you. Very prevalent, especially now,
Absolutely.
and it's getting more and more so, is suicide.
Right.
And I would love if you would share a little bit about your story with what you went through, and as a survivor or as a person on the other side of that, like what tools you use, what helped you, and things like that. So.
It's interesting because you and I have had numerous conversations about this, right? And for me, I was married for 30 years, and for about the last 20 years of my marriage, my husband attempted suicide a number of times. It was very, very difficult as we were talking about this, and what was hard, it was hard for my children to go through that. It was hard for me to go through that. It was hard for him to go through that.
Yeah.
And it was very, everybody says, well, he was just crying out. No, he wanted to be done.
Right.
And for me, and I know that this is touchy, and it may get some calls, and that's fine, because if I can share with anybody out there to help relieve their burden just a little bit. Right. Because for me, after the fourth suicide attempt, and I say that because he actually died 3 of those times and was brought back.
Oh my goodness.
And so it wasn't like just a failed attempt.
It wasn't just a cry for help. It wasn't like,
help. It was very
give
serious.
me attention. It was like, I really want to do this.
Exactly. And the fourth time, all my children were there. And it was really, really a difficult thing for them to even grasp. The first 3 times I was able to protect them a little bit more, but the fourth time I couldn't.
As moms, we try to protect them.
Exactly. And, only let them know little bits and pieces, or what they absolutely have to know. They're kids.
Yes.
They shouldn't have to be dealing with this stuff, We shouldn't have to be dealing with it.
Yes, we shouldn't have to be dealing with it, let alone
exactly.
them.
I mean, this is our loved one, and it took me a long time to get my head wrapped around why he didn't want to be alive.
Right.
I still don't have my head wrapped around why he didn't want to be alive, but for a long time, I took that blame, and I took that as my mission to keep him alive.
Yes.
Until after his fourth suicide attempt, we were so far in debt with all of the hospital bills and everything that we lost our home and our cars, we lost our business, we lost everything. And I was working 3 jobs. We couldn't recover. And we ended up moving to Salt Lake with my mom. I mean, that is really hard to do when you still have 3 teenage kids at home. Yes. I have 6 children. My older ones were not necessarily out of the house. They were all still teenagers, but I still had 3 at home with me and their dad. And, I felt bad because I'm like, I don't even want to take him. Yeah. Does he have to go with me? Right. I was just so tired. I was so tired.
You're worn out. You're exhausted. You're stressed. You're trying to keep it together for you, for your kids, for him.
Exactly.
And eventually it's like, I'm not even breathing anymore. Like, I'm drowning.
Exactly. And we've talked about that before. And it's like, I have to take him.
Right.
He's still my husband. I still love him, but I have to take him. But what do I do with him? I'm trying to work 3 jobs and take care of the kids. And all he can think about every day and remind me every day, don't save me. Don't save me. Whatever you do, don't save me, because I'm going to try again. And don't save me. And I did check with an attorney friend of mine and a judge friend of mine. And when they told me that if I didn't do everything I could to save him, I could go to jail.
What a burden to put on.
I couldn't wrap my head around that. I'm like, this is his choice.
Oh my goodness.
But that did a really crazy mind game.
Oh yeah.
For me, just going, well, then you better be successful next time, because we're both going. I'm going to jail, and you're going wherever you're going. So it was really a tough decision for me, until one day finally he was ready to attempt suicide again. He did all the things that he always did, and I just really was hoping he would be successful. It was, and that's a horrible, dark thing to say, But those of you that are out there
and
yeah,
lived it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And somebody that has been there would understand.
Right.
Somebody that has not been there, do not judge.
Right.
Do not judge until you've been in those shoes. Do not judge. I was, there was days I'd pull up in my car and I'd have my Suburban full of my kids and usually extra kids, and I'd see his car there, and I would just sit in the car and bawl because I'm like, he is not supposed to be here. Do I call the police? Do I go in? Do I not check? I mean, this was a constant in my world, and I'd always make my kids stay in the car
because you never know what you're going to walk in on.
I'm like, I don't want them to see this if I go find him.
Right.
And it was so consuming everything in my world until finally one day I was given the opportunity to go, you don't have to do this anymore. He needs to be responsible, and it is not your fault.
Did somebody tell you that, or was it a realization you came to in yourself?
I had the opportunity. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I was in the temple just praying to know what to do, because I knew this suicide attempt that he was planning that I was assisting with, because I'm like, if we're going to do it, let's do it right and get done. And then you'll be done, and I'll go to jail, and I'll serve my time, and somebody will help raise our kids.
But this roller coaster of every day in the unknown is just
for 20 years it was ridiculous.
Crazy.
And sitting in the temple, getting this inspiration, that I literally heard a voice say, Stephanie, you're done. You deserve happiness. And I'm like, I'm what? and I heard it again. Like, it said, Stephanie, you're done. You deserve happiness. And I literally just started bawling. And I got out of there, and I'm just going, I'm done.
Wow.
I don't have to be responsible, because it was playing such a crazy mind game with me for 20 years trying to keep him alive, and then the last few months trying to help him be dead.
Yeah.
It's like, who are you?
Right.
What have you come to? It was crazy, and I know there's other people out there that have gone through that, and they know that feeling. I know this. Yes. And so this is why I'm sharing it, because you're not alone.
Thank you for doing that, because people need to hear that. They need to know, like, you're not alone out there, and you do feel so alone when you're going through that. I mean, I know I felt completely alone, and for me, it was more like 7 years of consistency trying to commit suicide. But his whole life, before I even knew him, like, it was always a plan in the back of his head. It was his exit strategy, Yeah. And but yeah, I felt alone, and he swore me to secrecy, and like we were gonna fight this, and we were gonna get through it, and I, and it's hard. It's really hard when you don't realize, like, okay, first of all, you aren't capable of stopping somebody if they want to really do that.
Exactly.
Like, it's their choice. They get the choice. Like, everybody has a choice of what they do in life. Exactly. And for them to put that burden on us, and for other people to put the burden on us, is not fair, because it's not our burden to carry. That's theirs, and they get to decide what they want to do with it. We can love them. We can support them. We can say, hey, I love you, but this is me, and I can no longer support what you're doing.
Exactly.
And
I love what you just said when you said he swore you to secrecy.
Right.
To not tell.
Right.
Tell somebody.
Please
get help. If they're threatening, or they're talking, or they're even bringing it up, there's so many wonderful resources out there. Call one of us.
Right.
Call, there's suicide hotlines. There's places for the caregivers. It's not just for those that are trying to attempt suicide. It's for the caregivers too.
And we need
to rally.
We need the support.
Absolutely.
We need to support each other. We need to let people have somebody to talk to that understands, that's been there, that won't give you that judgment.
Exactly. And other than the people that were at the hospital with me each time, nobody else knew.
Right.
Just like you and we have to put this persona on there. And we have to go forth as if nothing's going on.
Right.
But little do people know what's going on behind closed doors, you know.
And
so
it's like I say help. It's like a duck on water, right? They look all calm and everything's peaceful on the outside, but underneath you're just like treading water as fast as you can, trying to keep afloat. And it's like, this ship's going down one way or another. Is it going to take all of us, or am I going to realize, okay, I'm okay, and they need to be okay, or they need to figure it out? But you can't support that other duck for too long, It's eventually,
and it's not even just for parents. We have a friend of ours that's got 2 children that are attempting suicide right now, or that have threatened, and she has spent so much money and so much effort, and we have been watching her deteriorate. literally deteriorate.
The caregiver or
the caregiver.
Okay.
And I know we have to do everything in our power, but there comes a time when you have to just say, I love you.
Yes.
I'm sorry that you feel this way. If you have done everything that you feel that you can do, gotten them the support, they have to choose whether they're going to use it or not. Unfortunately, my husband chose not to.
Yeah. You give them all the tools, you lead them to the water, but they choose to drink, you know.
And then you have to step back and just breathe.
And I know, and it is a hard thing to say, and you do feel guilty, and you do. But then, as you said, it's almost like a relief once it's like no longer this roller coaster and this turmoil all the time, and that's a hard thing to admit to yourself. Like it took me 7 years to admit that it was a relief when that police officer was finally at the door saying, this time is the final time. Like, you know, like every time he would go missing for however long or be admitted to BMed for 7 days as a John Doe or whatever, and not knowing, and then suddenly showing up. Like it was like this nightmare, like daily, you know, like every day you're living this dream / nightmare. It's like, yay, he's home so many times. And then it's like,
oh, he's home.
No, like now we're going to do it again and again and again. And how do I protect the kids and the kid, you know?
I'm glad I'm really glad you said that too, because, you know, those of you out there listening, don't take the guilt. Don't own that guilt. That guilt is not for you to own. No. You know, and there isn't guilt. I mean, most of these people that attempt suicide or that are successful with suicide, they've got something happening in their bodies. You know, there's either been a trauma or they've got something chemically or there's something. So don't own the guilt, you know, and that's not yours to own. Right. So just get some help, breathe through it, and let them understand that this is their decision, their choice.
Yes. I found that to be so powerful because I get people calling me a lot because I do speak up about suicide a lot. Right. And, you know, like my daughter's struggling herself.
Absolutely.
And it was this hard, I think I've mentioned this before, but it was this hard realization for me when it clicked with me that it was like, oh, wait, it's their choice. Right. Like, for so many years, I carried the guilt of not saving my husband, even though I tried everything, did all the, you know, all the doctors, all the tools, everything I could try to. Right. But then when he was successful, then I carried the guilt for so long. Yeah. And then it was like, oh, wait, it was his choice. Yeah. You know, and so when one of these people was reaching out to me one day, I realized, because I was defaulting back to that, let me save you mode, you know, we'll use this tool, use that tool. And, you know, of course you need to do all that, but eventually they have to choose. They choose to use those tools or not. Absolutely. And it clicked with me. I'm like, look, this is their choice. And I love you. I love you no matter what. Like I you know, if you want to go through with this, then I'm still going to love you. If you want to call me and have me talk you out of it, I will do that. But what do you want? Like, I'm not just going to default to try and keep you here on this earth if you don't want to be here. You know, I'm just going to stand here and love you and not carry your burden because I can anyway. Yeah. And then when I realized that, I'm like, oh, crap. Well, what does that mean for my daughter? Yeah. Because she's my daughter, right? And I absolutely, like, I'm her mother and I do carry that burden and I will. Yes. But it was a hard adjustment for me to realize, like, okay, like, of course I love her. Of course I support her. Of course we're doing everything. And she's doing amazing, by the way. I mean, we still have ups and downs, but not like we were. And she's very intuitive and knows what she needs. And it's beautiful. Like, that's a story for another time. But it was a realization in me. It's like, okay, it's her choice also. Like, she's my daughter. She's my flesh and blood. Right. But also I have to realize, like, if she does follow through that, which is a very harsh reality because her dad did, and it's like in the bloodline, and that it's her choice and not mine, you know, and I can do everything I can and love her and support her, and I will do that. And I don't think that that's going to be her outcome. But if it is, I realized within myself, I'm like, okay, it's her choice. Right. Like, and I don't have to carry that guilt for 7 years, you know, or longer, or to my death, which we do. So we only have like a little bit more than a minute. We got really, I know it goes way fast, especially when you get into real stuff like this. Exactly. So I want to thank you for coming. And again, I want you to plug your business and your website one more time.
Absolutely. Vibrant U Hyperbaric Oxygen and Light Center. And we are at 352 East Riverside Drive in Suite A6. And we'd love to have you go to our website. Our website is Vibrant U Utah, and that is YOU. VibrantUutah.com. It's got everything on there, some really, really amazing testimonials and a lot of good stuff on there. So check it out, vibrantuutah.com.
Okay. Awesome. And then just again, like, you know, we are here if you guys need to talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
Like I have people reach out to me through social media or text or whatever all the time. And I'm absolutely here for you. If you need to talk as a caregiver or as somebody struggling, definitely reach out, please. We'll do what we can to help you and support you and give you the resources and the tools you need. And you're not alone. Like it's vibrant. It's vibrant right now. But I think a big part of that is people are losing the connection and realizing that we're all people. And that's a big part of this podcast is like, let's get behind the story and realize we're all people and all we want is connection. So
absolutely.
Talk to you guys next time. See you later.
Thanks, Cindy. Have a great day. Thank you.
You've been listening to Finding the Fire, where we are finding deeper connections through sharing our life experience. Being placed in foster care, losing a child to SIDS, and a husband to suicide, Cindy has turned her story into the fuel that drives her. To be featured as a guest, go to findingthefire.com. Cindy is a former NICU nurse, a foster parent, has started a nonprofit, helps others, and supports her family by selling real estate. To find out more, go to involvedcommunity.com.